Alright, so now that you have finished your chain of about 40 centimeters or 15 inches, what we're gonna do now is to finish this, the first part of our project, which is just doing this chain. Alright, so what we need to do, you take your needle out, your hook out, and you're going to cut the yarn. So you're going to cut there, and then what you're going to do is you're going to insert the tail inside the loop and just pull. Okay, and that secures your chain. Okay, so that's the first part of your project done, which is the string that will go around the little bag. Okay, so now what you have to do is to put this aside, and then we'll come back to it whenever we need it, which will be at the end of our project. All right, so put your chain aside, and we're going into the second part, second step of our little project. So now we're going to move onto the rest of our project. Okay, so we're going to do first the back of our little bag. So I made this to be the front. It's up to you. Once your bag is finished, it's up to you to choose what you want to be the front and what you want to be the back. Okay, I've chosen this part here to be the back, so we're going to start there, and we're going to start with a chain of 23 stitches, and then what we're gonna do is these pillars that you see here, and these are called treble crochets in UK terms. In US terms it's called double crochet. Okay, but I am in the UK, I use UK terms. So let's go and continue our little project. So we're going to start again with a chain, and this time we're going to count 23 stitches. Okay, so let's start our chain like we did before. No difference, the difference is all the same. Same thing as before. We're gonna start with the foundation of crochet, which is a chain, and this time, because it's a short chain, we're going to count 23 stitches. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, so now we have our chain of 23 stitches. Okay, so now it's very important that you get to know your stitches, because we're going to go back into each stitch. So when we're counting stitches in our chain, we start there. We don't count this, the loop. The loop is not a stitch yet, okay? So a stitch is this, and it starts here, okay? So if we were to count our stitches again, we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So we've counted 23 stitches because we have done 23 stitches, and that's how you count stitches if you need to, okay? So this is your first stitch there, your second, your third, and so on. Okay, so now we need to go up. So we have done the foundation right there at the bottom, and now we need to go up to make a row of treble crochets. Okay, and to go up we are going to fold our chain a little bit to go up, and then we can start our row. Okay, so we're going to insert the needle on the 4th stitch. Okay, so this is 1. So I want you to go through your stitches so that you get to know them. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So we'll be there. However, there's 2 places where you can insert your needle. You can insert your needle, so let's insert 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your 4, that's where we're going to insert the needle, okay, or the hook. But there's 2 places where you can insert your hook. You can insert it there, so that you see 1 thread on the top, like so. Like so. So that's one way of putting your hook on a stitch. Or we can go there, so that we see 2 threads on the top of our hook. Okay, because each stitch is composed by 3 parts of the yarn. Okay, so you can see 1, 2, 3 threads in each stitch. Okay, and when we're going to put the hook on the stitch, you have to put it there on the bottom, so that when you look at the top of your hook, you see 2 threads. Okay, so that's where you need to put, and not there, which is on the top, where you only see 1 thread. Okay, so when you put your hook there to see 2 threads, you see 2 threads on the top, and then if you turn, you see 1 underneath. Okay, and that's where you need to insert your hook each time. Okay, so let's do it. So go back there to your to the beginning of your chain, the loop. You're going to yarn over, so this is called yarn over. We've done that before. And then count 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to insert the hook there, as we said before. Okay, and then you're going to yarn the over again there, and you're going to pull your yarn through the loop. or through that stitch, okay? And then yarn over, and you're going to pull through the first 2 stitches. Okay, let's go back. Let's do it again. So yarn over, on your 4th stitch you insert your hook, okay? Then yarn over and pull through that stitch, and now you have 1, 2, 3 loops in your needle, in your hook, okay? Yarn over and pull through 2, only 2. Now yarn over and pull through the other 2. And now what you've done is a treble. This little pillar there, it's your treble, okay? And we're going to do that into every single stitch until the very end. So we're going to have 21 trebles in total, okay? So let's carry on, let's do it again. Yarn over, so your next stitch, so let's see where the next stitch is. And pull that so that I don't undo anything there. Let me have more yarn here. Okay. So your next stitch is here. It can't be here because this is where you've been already. You see, you've been under there already. So your next stitch, this is where you're going to insert your needle, your hook next here, so that on the top you have 2 threads and on the bottom you have 1. Okay, so this is your next stitch. So let's do it. Yarn over and go on to your next stitch there, underneath there, so that you see 2 pieces of your yarn on top. Pull through like we did before, always the same, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the other 2, and we're going to carry on this way all the way to the end, okay? Yarn over onto your next stitch, so your next stitch is there, not there because that's where you have been already, it's there, okay? So you go underneath there so that you have 2 parts of your yarn there, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the other 2. Okay, and let's carry on this way. Yarn over into your next stitch there, so it'll be easier because this is a little bit more open than the others because we have been there already. It's easy that to make the mistake to go back there, but we can't go back there because that's where we have been already, so it has to be the next one. If you want to make it easier for you, each time you just take your needle out and just go back to your chain and see, maybe open it so that when you go there, it's open, it's large, a little bit larger than the others, okay? So this is your next stitch, so you go back there, yarn over, and then you go back there. Takes practice and patience, a lot of patience. a very satisfying work to do, and very satisfying when we finish our work. Okay, let's carry on. Yarn over on the next stitch. This is work that requires attention, so it's you and your crochet, it's your me time. So we need to be quietly somewhere in a room with the door closed so that we can go into our little crochet world and crochet way. If you're talking to people or watching television, the likelihood is that you'll make mistakes until you get very familiar with crochet and your project. Then you can be chatting away and watching television and crochet at the same time. But at the very beginning, you really need to be concentrated and very focused on what you are doing, because it's very easy to make mistakes if we don't pay attention or concentrate on what we are doing. Okay. So we're doing exactly the same until the very end, and what we're doing is treble crochets. If you go into your chain and you're not sure where the next stitch is, then you just take your needle out and just go, oh, this is where you have been, so the next has to be here, and the next has to be here, and the next has to be here. Okay. And take your time, there's no rush. Practice, undo and do again. The more you undo, the better you'll get at it, the more experience you'll be. So don't be afraid or shy to undo. Do and do until you feel comfortable. If you make a mistake and you realize that at the end or further down, then undo and go and start again. So I'm arriving at the very end here. So this will be the last stitch there. I need to go there so that I've got 2 on top. The very beginning it's a little bit fiddly because there's not much to hold on to, but as we have more crochet to hold, will get easier. So this is the end of our first row. So let's count our treble. So remember that at the very beginning we made a fold to go up and do the row. So this very first stitches that you see there, it's the fold, and this is part of your chain, but we will consider this as our first treble. So when we're counting this little chain here. That was the start of our row. So we count this chain counts as a treble. Okay, so if I want to count my trebles, I count from here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, so we must have 21 trebles. They look like pillars. So sometimes I call them pillars because they look like little pillars. Okay, so we must have 21 pillars, 21 trebles. Okay, if you at the end you don't have 21, maybe you have more, maybe you have less, then look at your work and see if you can find a mistake. Maybe you put, if you have more than 21, maybe you put your hook twice in the same stitch. If you have less than 21, maybe you missed one stitch. Go back and see if you can find the mistake. If you can't, it doesn't matter, just undo and do it again. Okay, so don't be shy of undoing it again, because the more you do that, the better you get at it. Okay, so make sure you have 20 pillars, 21 trebles. Okay, so the chain we did at the very beginning is of 23 stitches, and then because we folded, then we end up with 21 trebles. Okay, so whenever you are happy with your first row, so we've done the first row here. Okay, we've done this first row here with a chain of 23 and then the 21 trebles. And then now we're going to go up to make the second row, which is exactly the same as the first. Is all of this is all trebles. Row after row after row after row, it's all 21 trebles until we have 14 rows. Okay, all right, so now if you're happy with your row, what we're gonna do to go up, so now we have to go up again. To go up, we need to turn the work so that we can carry on. Okay, so here to start a new row, we're going to make a chain of 3. That's how we start each row. Chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And now we're going to do what we did before, which is go in each stitch and do a treble. Now let's see what our stitches now will look different from before, because now we don't have a chain, but we have the top of every pillar or every treble that we did before. Okay, so I want you to look from the top, get this out of the way, and you'll see all the stitches. You see these little V's. Okay, so each of these is one stitch. Okay, and this is where you're going to insert your needle to make your trebles. Okay, so this is your chain of 3 and your first stitch is here, And again, you want to insert the needle there so that you see through 2 threads on the top of your needle. Okay, so this is your first stitch, and this is your second one, and this is your third one there, and this is your fourth one, and this is your fifth one, and so on. Okay, until we have 21. We're going to make another 21 trebles. Okay, now you don't need to understand this, what I'm going to say next, right now. This comes with experience. But as we're going to yarn over and make our first treble, we are not going to put the needle on the first stitch, because that would increase our work, would make 22 trebles, and we don't want 22, because this stitch here is part of this chain. Okay, so you don't need to understand this at the moment. Just what I'm going to ask you is to ignore your very first stitch, which is this one there, and that will happen for each row we're going to build up. You ignore the very first stitch. Okay, so to make our first treble, yarn over and go into the second stitch. Okay, so that you just disregarded the first one. Okay, so yarn over, go into the second stitch. That's where we want to go. That's where we want to start our first, or make our first treble, is from the second stitch. Okay, so here we're going to do the same as we did before. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through the other 2. Okay, and we're going to carry on all the way, but now you're going to go into every single stitch, okay, until the very end. Okay, so let's carry on making trebles. So yarn over, go into your next stitch right there. See, you have 2 little strands, little parts of your yarn there. Okay, and all the way to the very end. So I'm getting here at the very end of our row. So the very end, you have your chain of 3. That's 3. This is where we began, where we folded, okay, and that gave us a chain of 3, which just replicates a treble, okay. So now we have to go there. We can't ignore this, we can't disregard this, because as we said before, this counts as our first treble. So we have to go onto the very top. If you count 1, 2, 3, it's a bit fiddly, but you'll manage. If you go on the very top of this chain, that's where you need to insert your needle, your hook, okay, to make your very last treble. Okay, so yarn over and go to the very top there of your chain. There, insert your hook and then pull through 2 and pull through 2. Okay, so now we are at the end. We finished our second row. Again, just count your trebles. So that's our first one, which is a chain, which counts as a treble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, that's what we want. We want 21 each in each row. Okay, so that's the end of our second row. So we did the first, we did the second, and now we're going to do the third one. Okay, all right, again, to start the third one, just like we did before, we turn the work to be on this side, and we're going to start exactly the same way as we started the row number 2, with a chain of 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and exactly as we did before, we're going to yarn over. We are going to disregard the first stitch which is there. We're not going to put the hook there. We're going to put the hook on the second stitch. Okay, and if you're not sure of your stitch yet, then this is 1 stitch here, next stitch, next, okay, so if you look from above, you see the little V's there. This is 1 stitch, 1 V, 1 stitch. All right, so let's carry on. So we have our chain of 3 there, yarn over. We're not going onto the first stitch but onto the second. Okay, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over. Let's go into the next stitch. All the way to the very end. Same thing as before, and we're going to do this back and forth 14 times. We're going to have 14 rows of trebles. So we are approaching the end of this row. So we have there our last treble that we did on the row before, and then we have the chain of 3 that we did to begin the row. Okay, and this chain of 3 counts as a treble. Okay, so we can't ignore it. We have to put a treble on top of that as well. Okay, so let's go on to this one first. And this one is our chain of 3. So we need to count 1, 2, 3, and on the very top there, we're going to make our last treble of this row. Okay, so yarn over and go on to there, the top of your chain of 3, and make a treble crochet, the very last one. All right, so we have done 3 rows. Okay, so we are here in our little project. Okay, and we still have all these rows to do, and in total we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 rows of treble crochets, and then we're going to stop there, and then we're going to do something different there. Okay, so we need to carry on with our rows of trebles. Okay, so we finished the 3rd row, turn the work around, and let's do the 4th row. Again, like before, we start with a chain of 3. 1 2 3. Yarn over. Oh, let's go to visit the stitches first, so you get familiar with the stitches. So there's your very first stitch there that we are going to disregard, and then this is where we're going to go with to make our first treble crochet. Okay, and then the next stitch, and the next. So if you're not sure, just go with your needle, with your hook, and look above, see the little V's, and those are your stitches. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. Okay. All right. Before we start, just let's go back to row number 3 and count the trebles, which we didn't do. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21. Okay, so we have 21 treble crochets, and each row is composed by 21 trebles, and we count this little chain that we always do to start the row. We count it as a treble. All right, okay, let's carry on. So yarn over. We are not going there, the very first stitch. We are going into the next one, there. Okay, yarn over, pull, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And let's carry on. Yarn over onto the next stitch, pull through, pull through, pull through, all the way to the end. Don't be afraid or shy about undoing. Undo as much as you need. Undo and do it again. The more you undo and do it again, the better you'll get at it. And this requires practice. Lots of undoing and doing it again until you are comfortable and confident. Make sure you always have loads of yarn loose, like so. Okay, so we're approaching the end of this row. So there's one more treble there on the row below, and we make a treble, and then we have our chain of 3 that we did to start the row. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3 stitches. So there you can go there and open that stitch there. It's not always easy, so on the very top there, I'm trying to get into there, so I've got 2 stitches on top there. But if you don't manage, if you put, so it's there, see, it's there, so that's, there's 2 stitches there. But if you don't manage to do it, if you put your needle and there's only one thread there, one times of your yarn there, it's not a big deal if you do that. Okay, but in principle, put it there so that you have the 2 threads there, the 2 parts of the yarn, like a V. Okay, so let's do our very last treble. Okay, so that's the end of our row number 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we turn around. Oh, let's count just to make sure we have 21 trebles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, 21 trebles, and that's what we want each row. Okay, so let's start row number 5 together, and then I'll let you go do the rest. Okay, so again, chain 3, same thing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do the first treble crochet, not on the first one, on the second. Okay, yarn over, pull, yarn on over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the others, yarn over, let's make another one, pull through, pull through, yarn off to the next, pull through, yarn off to the next, pull through, yarn over to the next, pull through, pull through. Okay, so I'm going to let you do the rest of the rows that you need to do. Okay, so we have done 1, 2, 3, 4 together, and we started the 5th row together. Okay, so now carry on until you have 14 rows. Okay, and then I'll meet you there so we can do this part together again. Okay, so you are here on row number 5, and all you have to do is go until the end, and remember you need to have 21 trebles every row. Okay, remember that at the very last, your very last is not a treble, is the chain that we always do to start the each row. Okay, don't forget to make a treble crochet on top of that one as well. Okay, just like we did so far. All right, so carry on, and I'll meet you back at the very end, at the 14th row there. All right.